Hey, loves. So I was scrolling through TikTok today and I seen this story. It's where this woman was unalived by her boyfriend by using root work. So for those of y'all that don't believe in it, it's real. But don't let me tell y'all. Let's watch it together. I got chills watching this. I was like, what the? I don't watch a lot of. I know a lot about this stuff, but this story here, it just gave me chills. Like, YouTube, stay woke.
So I've been trying to record this video for the past 10 minutes now. Just even thinking about it and talking about it gives me really bad anxiety. So I just need everybody to just bear with me on retelling the story of how my sister was unalived by her husband using root. During the video, you may see me, burning some sage, taking a pause. This is very, 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 very rough to talk about. Whew. My sister was a very smart, beautiful, and talented woman and a wonderful mother to her children. Bear with me, y'all. Before meeting her husband, um, she already had 3 kids of her own from a previous relationship. My sister had plans to wanting to be in the industry. She wanted to be a rapper. She wanted to be a model. That was something that she really wanted to do. So much talent. She has so much talent. I'm sorry, guys. She had dreams and she had goals, and they were taken away from her. And it's really fucked up because if I knew what I knew now and my mother knew what she knew now, we always wonder if we could have saved her. But let's fast forward. So one day, my sister was standing at the bus stop because she was going to a job fair. And this guy, he happened to ride past. She said that he turned back around, asked if she needed a ride. And you guys got to understand, like back then, catching a ride, nobody wasn't worried about anything happening to them. So it was kind of like in the South, it was kind of a thing to catch a ride with somebody. She caught a ride with him, and um, she caught a vibe off him. She caught a vibe off him. He is from Belize. He's in the military. So she saw that as okay, he's a good guy. He's in the military. What I'm saying? He got his own thing going on. They hit it off real good. Um, Something just fell. Wow. Okay. They hit it off really good. Um, they're dating. She introduces him to us, my parents first, and then we got a chance to meet him. I was a teenager the time that I met him. They've been together for a long time. I was a teenager the time that I met him, and even during that time, I knew something was a little off about him. And I'm not saying this all about island people, because they do practice this stuff. I'm not saying this that all island people do this, but I just kind of knew something was up with him. I just really couldn't figure out what it was at that time because I was a teenager. So during this time, we met him. He seemed like a good guy, very church going man. Um, my dad, before my dad passed away, when he met him, I remember him, saying that he didn't too much care for him. And On the other hand, you have my mom, who's more so kind of like, he's a good guy type thing. Like, he's in the military, he can take care of you and your kids. You know, why not? Why not be with him? Fast forward, my sister ends up getting pregnant. And now the push is to, you might as well go ahead and marry this man. My sister did not want to marry this man. She told me this a lot of times. She did not want to marry him, but for some reason, she was pushed to marry this man because of him being in the military, him being a God fearing man, him, being there for the kids. And then this is where things start to take a turn because, like I said, he presented himself to us as a great husband, as a great guy.
But you,
So my sister is pregnant with her fourth child, which would be their child together. And they move
I'm sorry, y'all. If y'all can see, my cat never does this.
way of trying to get into the industry, trying to get her music out there, trying to be a model. One thing about my sister, I can tell you, she didn't let kids stop her from living her dreams. She was a great mother. She took care of her children. She didn't let she didn't let that stop. So they get out there to California, and my sister is meeting people. She's going into the studio. Mind you, he is back and forth home, taking care of the kids while she's really just trying to do what she always wanted to do. Okay. He didn't like that. There were times where she would call me from the studio and she would say, I want you to sing over the phone. Like, I done got the track down. I want you to sing. I want these guys to hear you. She was so excited to be in her element of trying to be in the industry and get her career started. Her husband did not like that at all. He's more so, why you not at home taking care of the kids? Like, why you out here partying, and you know what I'm saying, you going to these celebrity parties, and you why are you doing this? Ain't no gal of mine gonna be out here doing this. And I got a child with you, we got these kids. Her not knowing that he was abusing her children. They were little now. They were little. He We found out he would beat the crap out of them. And I'm not talking about you just get a belt. He was beating the shit out of them. Okay. On top of that, found out that he was beating on my sister too. And found out that he beat her one time so bad that she had to go to the hospital. And this is where it starts. Now, let me say this. We did not find that out until my sister started getting really sick. And that will be hopefully in the next video as I try to get through this one right here. There was also a time where my sister was trying to leave the house. And she said prior to that, they got into a big argument. And he went into the room, he closed the door, he locked the door, everything was silent. So she was like, fuck it, I'm going over to my homegirl house, you know what I'm saying? I'm out, like I'm going. She gets to the car. She gets in the car. This is her exact words, is what she told me, and I will never forget this shit. She said, sis, when I got into the car, I don't understand how I ended up under the car, running my leg over. My sister had a big ass bruise on her leg because somehow, some way, she ended up under the car. The car rolled back onto her leg. She said she don't even understand how she got under the car when she was getting into the car. She said it happened so fast. He was in the room doing doing his work. I got to watch what I say. He was in the room doing his root work so that she wouldn't leave the house. She ends up back in the hospital. Now, during this time, she'll call me, and after a while, it was more so I would get a call like once a month, and I was like, okay, maybe she's working. Maybe she's doing the family thing. Um, and then tragedy happens. 2000, about 2005, we find out that my dad has prostate cancer. So she now has to come home. She has to leave California, and she has to come home. She wants to come home. She wants to be with our dad or whatever like that. And she comes home, and this is where things really start to turn up. Now, mind you, you know, this is a couple of years later. Remember when I said when I first met him, I was a teen, so things really wasn't clicking then. So the next time I met him, I'm actually, almost getting up in adult age. So now I'm a lot more wiser. I'm a lot more alert because, I'm going through my own things. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm starting to see signs. And my dad, was seeing signs. And everybody thought my dad was speaking crazy because, he had cancer and he was um, in our den. We had a little hospice bed and everything set up for him. So, but he wasn't talking crazy. He knew exactly what the fuck he was talking about. Oh God, y'all. I'm sorry. So now I'm listening and I'm like, you know what? Every time like me and my sister would go out to eat or do something together or whatever, she would throw up. And that was the first sign of him putting something on my sister. Everything that she ate, she would throw it back up. And that was the first sign. All right. So yeah, um, I am going to post part two tomorrow. This takes a lot out of me. This takes a lot out of me because then I'm actually giving a lot more detail than I did the first time I told this story. But yes, please, if you know anybody, or even if you're dealing with some type of witchcraft or anything like that, I need you to understand that what I know now is you can get help. And what y'all need to understand is by the time we found out about it, it was too late. Stay tuned for part two.
That's the sister right there, y'all. So what I want to say is that it's very real. And actually, if you know me, you know I'm a very spiritual person. I used to have a botanica. Um, and I learned everything I could learn about that because somebody put it on me, and I almost lost my life. And so yeah, it is help out there, and it is real. Let's get to part two. She was definitely a beautiful girl. Let's see.
All right, so we left off about the first sign of, you know, something was wrong with her, which would be her throwing up every time she would eat something. Um, and sometimes as Black people, we do tend to ignore things. Like if something is wrong, we have a thing where we're like, I ain't going to the doctor. Like, I'm gonna figure this shit out. I'm gonna change my diet. Like we do that. And in this case, my sister was in the gym. She was very, she was always known to be a healthy person. So with that happening, you know, she kind of took it as, okay, maybe I should change up my diet and, just continue to try to be healthy. Um, and then the migraines, they started as well. We were in church one Sunday, and because I would go to church, I would ride with my sister them because I just love being around her. So we get to church, on a certain Sunday, and she said, I don't feel good, and she's like, my head hurting. She had the worst migraine. Um, and he was there, and his demeanor was Didn't even ask like if she was okay. He was just looking like staring at her like I wish I could like describe the type of stare he was doing when he was looking at her. And I'll never forget it because I was sitting right there and I was like, you want to leave? Like, should we go? She was like, no, we got to stay for the Sunday service. We got to stay. I'll be all right. I said, okay. And, that situation got brushed off. Fast forward, you know, I want to say like 2 years later, because my dad ends up passing away from prostate cancer. And she's starting to get sicker now. But it wasn't like a harsh sick. It was more so like a slow type creeping up on you type sick. So with that, you know, now she's actually, kind of concerned about what's going on because, now, you're really not keeping much down. You're starting to lose a little weight and things just don't feel right. And she would say this to, me or say it to my mom all the time. But me, I just, I'm like, you're the strongest person I know. Like, that was me. Like, but I also was like, what's really going on here? Another thing that, bothers me is he would always leave. Like on weekends, he was like, oh, he's going golfing and shit like that, with the people at the church. And I'm gonna get into that in another video about where the fuck he really was going at. So yeah, he's leaving, he's going golfing, shit like that. And every time he would leave, my sister would get sicker and even more sicker. And then there was an incident where he had to go visit his mother in Belize. And he was actually there for like a good 2 weeks, I believe. So I was at my sister's house chilling with her. He ain't there. I don't like this nigga. You know, we chilling, we doing our sisterly shit. Like we doing what we doing. All of a sudden, she starts throwing up. She say, "Hold on." She starts throwing up. She's sick. She said, "I'm not feeling too good right now, man." So we lay down or whatever like that, watch a little movie. She falls asleep. Mm, 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 mm. So let's pause and talk about what he was doing in Belize. So apparently, um, they practice this type of black magic and root and shit like that. I believe they would call him a warlock. Um, his mother actually is a victim of the root. She's a victim. She, and I'm gonna say this, and I need you to try to follow me, okay? Whatever they were doing in Belize, they were doing some shit that made the mother still be alive, even though she was already gone, right? And that's going to be another key thing in one of my videos about how, oh God, oh. But anyway, yeah, that's what.
That's funny that she says that because if you haven't did a lot of studying on this or know a lot about it, what she says, I'm gonna continue to follow her, but I want to say this before I forget. When she said they was doing things to keep the mom alive, it's very true. Also, they could have been switching souls with the wife to the mom and the mom to the wife. It's real, y'all. I want to tell y'all unless I seen it and knew.
He was doing out in Belize. He was practicing, um, you know, putting this on my sister to make it worse than what it was. Now, let me go back a little bit as well because I'm missing some things and y'all just gotta bear with me. The military situation, he got out of the military because he so-called broke his ankle, his kneecap or something, and then he got out of the military and he started to collect checks. Now, while my sister is, sick trying to figure out what's going on with her, we finally get her to the doctors or whatever. And at first they're telling my sister that she has diabetes. My sister never had diabetes. And that's another thing. They misdiagnosed her. She never had diabetes. Um, So, they start giving her, insulin and shit like that, just in case, she would need it or whatever like that. And he enjoyed that. He enjoyed sending her to the hospital so many times. It's like he was waiting for this is it type shit, right? So, um, Jesus Christ, y'all. So she's, right now she's thinking that, you know, the diabetes or, what they misdiagnosed her with is part of what was going on. Now, my sister didn't start speaking on, you know, the root being put on her until um, we had this one doctor appointment, which I will get into that in a minute. Um, so yeah, he was out there, practicing, making sure that whenever he would leave, he would make sure that she would get sicker and sicker. It wasn't poisoning, so let's just stop there because people like to say it wasn't poison. This is what people actually do in practice when they want to keep you held down, keep you in a low vibrational state to where you don't really want to do shit but actually be home while he's out doing what the fuck he's doing, right? Um, it just really starts to get worse now. Um, she's losing rapid weight, rapid it's so rapidly, like it just happened, like it was slow, but it happened really fast, right? So we are, okay, we're 4 years, we're about 4 or 5 years in because her sickness lasted about 8 years. It started, with the throwing up, and then yeah. So, let's fast forward 4 to 5 years now. My sister has lost so much weight, so much weight. He and he looked like he was actually gaining a lot of weight. Like it's like she was losing it and he
I'm sorry, y'all. I don't want to keep pausing it, but that's exactly what happens. And if you know someone that has unalived someone and they're still walking the streets, you can see that they start to look at and become that person they unalive. In this situation right here, with the root work, as you can see, he was taking her energy. And so therefore, since he was taking it and he was the one doing the work, he was receiving it.
was getting fatter. I can't explain the shit, right? But that's exactly how it was. This is where she starts to open up about what the fuck is really going on. She told me that one night, it was like maybe 3 o'clock in the morning, I believe. He was up chanting around the fucking house. She pretended like she was asleep. She was chanting in the house. She said when she looked over at the windows turned red. She said the windows turned red. And that moment is when she knew that this bitch ass nigga was doing some bullshit on her. But she didn't too much mention it to me yet. She was basically now seeing that he's putting something on her. This is a healthy woman. This is a woman who has so much going on for herself, and all of a sudden she just starts to deteriorate out of no fucking where. While he's out golfing and shit on the fucking weekends. So he said he was, right? But he wasn't. Whew. Fast forward another year, my sister starts to lose partial eyesight, and she starts to really just, it looked like the soul was being sucked out of her. She went from being, a nice thick woman to what you see in this picture. Oh God, I'm here. I'm sorry, y'all. So this is when we find out that this man had put something on my sister. My sister got sick one day, really, really. I mean, I'm talking about throwing up, you know, fever, barely can move out of the bed. We take her down to the hospital, and I'll never forget this ride. It was a very quiet ride. It was me, my mother, and my brother, and we get her to the hospital. Oh, they start running tests. They start doing, you know, trying to figure out what's going on. And the doctor pulled my mom and them in the room, and I was like, I walked in the room too because that's my sister. I want to know what the fuck is going on. They told me to leave out of the room. When my sister and my mom walked back out, my mom had looked like somebody had sucked all the color out of her. And then my sister walked out and she had a smile on her face. I gotta burn some sage on this part. The the doctors told my mom and my sister, I don't understand how your daughter is still walking around because her insides are completely black. Her organs have completely shut down. He said in his 30 something years of being a doctor in this practice, he has never seen anything like this before. My sister was basically a zombie walking. He had put the magic on her so bad that somehow her vessel was still able. And I'll never forget the time that I had to drop something off over to her house, and knocked on the door, whatever, and one of the kids came to the door. She was in the kitchen cooking, and I said, sis, what are you doing? She was like, I gotta cook for my husband. I gotta cook for my family because if I don't cook for them, they're not gonna eat. She never called this man her husband, y'all. The years that we knew him, how and who my sister was, she never called this man her husband. That is the first time that I've ever heard her call this man her husband. And that's how I knew that that wasn't my sister. My sister was gone.
Y'all, so I did not go through the videos because I only seen part 1 and part 2. So I'm going to go through all the videos because she said she's going to talk about what it was he was really doing and some other things. And so, yeah, y'all, come back for part 2 and believe every word she's saying. Stay woke, stay prayed up. You never know how the enemy is coming. You never know who your enemy is. And maybe one day I have a story time about my story. I'm telling you, it's definitely real. Until next time, love, stay safe.